So welcome, Jacqueline. Thanks so much for speaking with me this evening about your
Thank you.
journey and about the work that you're doing. So for the listeners, just tell them a bit about yourself and what it is that you actually do.
Sure. My name's Jacqueline Shaw. I'm the CEO and founder of a plant-based braiding hair extensions company called the Canero Company. But that's not my whole story. I did actually start a business, or I've started multiple business, called me a serial entrepreneur. And this is my recent or present business venture. But what I'm probably more known for is the work I've done within African fashion with a company called Africa Fashion Guide, where it was all around sourcing and manufacturing and business consultancy, business coaching for African fashion entrepreneurs.
Wow, and how long have you been? That sounds so interesting. How long have you been
Mhm.
doing that for?
That one, probably 15 years now. So that was, yeah, it kind of spun off from me doing a master's degree in ethical fashion. And it became a whole thing. I never planned it. I think that's what happens with me in business. I never actually plan to do kind of a particular type of business, but I just kind of evolve into it. Something happens and it causes a business to come to be birthed out of it. So yeah, that's what I'm known more for, the African fashion business.
Brilliant. And it sounds more like a passion, doesn't it? And then it evolves organically into something a bit more serious with your passion and doing the work at the same time. So that's always great, isn't it? If you're passionate about your work and it sometimes doesn't feel like work in the end. Oh, well done. So
Yeah, absolutely.
tell us a bit more about your current venture. How long have you been doing that?
Okay, so we've been 2025, the business just started to sell and was launched, and it's still very early days. So with that one, just wanted to provide an alternative on the market. So many are may have heard or had these conversations around the plastic-based hair extensions that we generally use. So similar to what I'm wearing. Well, this is what I'm wearing is actually the product. So you can just imagine this, but the traditional hair that we usually wear is plastic based. And that has been causing some very challenging health issues, such as it's endocrine disruptions, as hormones, changes hormones. Some people have experienced a lot around their breathing, respiratory disease has been associated with it, volatile compounds in it. So especially like if you're breathing in, and hairdressers, especially not just the users and wearers, not just the wearers and consumers, but the hairdressers of the product who use it. When they, typically they like to put it in hot water, and all that coming out of it are compounds that are not great for us. And unfortunately, also associated with that is cancers as well, which is I am a cancer survivor quite recently. So it's as much as it's an interest and a passion, it's also a purpose business. And my previous business also a purpose business. It's about creating that alternative to that. We have choice, and I believe that we should all have choice in our products that we consume, and not just be limited to one thing that is actually quite harmful for us.
Very powerful story. So obviously sorry to hear about your cancer diagnosis. Would you like to happy to tell us a bit about that in terms of how that impacted you personally and with your hair as well, why your extension business was part of that?
Absolutely. So I was diagnosed with breast cancer in 2021 and went through a whole treatment plan. So chemotherapy, radiotherapy, operations as well, a whole treatment plan that is ongoing treatment as well, preventative treatment. But at the time when I went through that, like many cancer patients, not all cancer patients, but many, I lost my hair, so completely bald. No eyelashes, no underarm hair, everything completely bald. So that was a whole different experience because hair loss is something, especially for women and then Black women on top of that. It's not just our crown; it's our whole identity. It's such a topic, and being somebody who I relaxed my hair when I was younger, but from 14 until 19. So the majority of my life, I had natural hair. And so it was even more of a thing because I didn't have hair that fit into the ideologies of um, um, the workspace, the work environment. My hair was very different and it became a topic. So it was always a thing for me. And then to lose it was I mean, some may say I was a bit dramatic, but it was quite it was a massive thing. It was traumatic. It was life changing. It was identity changing. Um, and I was challenged with that. But then as it grew back and, I started to look at myself and my identity and just who I saw myself as, I just felt that there was something that was birthing out of me that had purpose in it. And what I wanted to do was to do something with that could change the marketplace and change situations for others going through what I'm going through, and somebody who else that looks like me, whose hair is also a massive part of her identity. So it birthed something else. So yes, the cancer caused me to have a challenge with identity, but it also opened up an opportunity for me to put something into the market, and which I am, very proud of right now.
It's a really powerful story. I mean,
Thank
to
you.
go through um an experience like that and then, you know, flip it on its side and think, well, actually, I'm going to take this experience and, work through it and to help other people as well. It's a major thing. Um, Thank you for sharing that. I just ask, when you lost your hair, you explained you lost your hair, were you prepared for that in any way? Did anybody have any conversations with you about it? Did you try to reduce your hair loss through
Mm.
scalp cooling?
You know what? I mean, thinking back of it, I don't. The I remember the conversations with the hospital, and it was mostly around the process, having the operations, having the chemo, having the radio, like what was going to happen in that essence, but not so, and then anything else that was associated with cancer and the journey, but not so much about the hair. Yes, I was given some extra support. Maggie's is the hospital I was at. There was a group called Maggie's where you can go and kind of get some extra support, talk to them, etc. At the hospital. Um, I was told, what I could use to save the hair. So I won't. Yes, I would lose hair, but I could save it by having scalp cooling, which I did use. Um, but I think I had this thing in my head that I wouldn't lose all my hair. I just thought that okay, I've got something that because I didn't want to lose it. I thought okay, I'm gonna look so ugly because I don't have no hair. I'm gonna look ugly, and yeah, I just had this thing that I was going to be able to save it, that will still have most of it. I might, yeah. And I ended up cutting it very short, like kind of like a Grace Jones style. 'Cause I remember like, holding up a piece of the hair, like a long strand at one point. And I was just like, oh my gosh, because it did fall out. It falls out in the length of the hair. So it
Yeah.
is, you know, and my hair was probably, well, it's probably about as long as it is, what this hair is right now. Um, but yeah, tried the head calling, but that just prolonged the whole chemo treatment. The people probably don't realize you go through chemo and that you can be there for like an hour and a half or something like that. But with the head calling, that can make it 2 hours, 3 hours. Some people there for longer, especially if you're waiting for stuff to treat. It can be it's a whole experience that is just oh, I hated it. I hated, truly hated the length of being there. I just wanted to be out, just hearing the machines, the beeping, seeing other people. It was just not a nice environment. And not because they didn't think it just is what it is, isn't it? But yeah, I tried it, but yeah, I did lose it in the end still. And I just said, you know what? It's coming out. And a friend said to me something quite powerful at the time. She just said that it seems like you're trying to hold on to something, hold on to the hair, and you're just trying to hold on to the thing, but you're just gonna have to. the release is going to be more powerful for you. It's going to, you just have to let something, you just have to let it go. And when she said that, I was like, I'm really I'm trying to hold on to my identity because it is who I've said I am my hair, but I am not my hair. I survived without my hair. And as it grew back, and I didn't, and it grew back short into little baby afros, into a big afro, I realized, I could be me still at all
Yeah.
stages of that length. I was still me. Um, but I do also think that I'm a different me.
Okay.
I'm not the same me. I'm definitely not the same me. It's like BC before cancer, I'm definitely not the same person. I am different. But in a good way, like 2.0, 3.0 of Jacqueline Shaw. But yeah, I did try to save, and a lot of people do use it to save their hair. Some people it works, but for me, I just stopped after about two, three times. I just said, let me just,
Oh,
there's no point. Let it
yeah.
go, let it go. And it was powerful. It was
Yeah.
powerful, emotional,
It's,
but powerful. Because then you're taking control of it, saying, I'm gonna let my hair go.
yeah. With scalp cooling, you do lose, um, expected to lose some, but not as much. And then the research will, yeah. And
I ended up
I
with
know
a
people,
sorry.
yeah. And some people do feel like stopping when they're seeing shedding still, but it doesn't mean it's not working. It just means that it will reduce the amount of loss. There will be some loss, but not as much. And then when it comes back faster. That's through research and slightly thicker. But I mean, I understand as well, you're saying you wanted to be in and out, and that's about managing that time as well. So it's a lot of
Yeah.
things you were navigating. So
Because I had a massive patch in the middle of loss, and it was like, those on those cartoons and things, have the old men and they just have the hair around the side. I can laugh at it now. I've got the pictures. I'm like, oh my gosh, it's horrific. But yeah, it was. I just, like I said, there was some power in that because
yes,
you're owning it and saying that I'm going to let it go. I'm
okay,
going. It was like somebody said they're going to stop smoking or stop drinking. They said I'm going to say no to that bottle. I'm going to say no to trying to say, holding on to that thing. Just let it go. It was more powerful for me to do that, and I found there was a release and a relief.
yeah,
Um, yeah, I think it was powerful. It was helpful.
it helped you at the time, definitely.
Mm.
So tell me the connection then between, you've mentioned a number of things about synthetic, like plastic hair. Tell me the connection then between, I mean, how did you know all of these things? Is it research? Have you, what made you decide then that as your hair is growing back, I'm going to do, I'm going to create a new type of hair for women? What made you do that?
Yeah, I think just from using the hair, like many women, like yourself, like me, black women who have used the braiding hair and having that experience of just itching. I used to be able to do many, many styles. I would do cane rows going down. Um, and back in the days when I first started braiding, it was fine, but it would itch, yeah, but I'd kind of ignore it. But it got to a point where the braiding down to my hair, the itching was like being on fire. Like I couldn't have it. I could only do got to a point I could only do single plaits because then there was less of it touching my scalp. I just found this hair is just making my hair itch. I know people used to wash hair, and that was a bit strange why people would do that. But then, you start to get little bits of information. I think we all were getting little bits of information and trying different things. And then the report that came out in March 25, which was called Five Consumer Reports. It was Harvard Research and Environmental Working Group, and they were talking about some of all of these things, the research they were doing around the hair, the toxins that are in there, the challenges it was causing for people in their bodies, all of that stuff, and you realize, okay, there is something about this. This is the reason why this is not good. But when I did start working, looking at creating this product last year, when I registered a company, I had connections with a supplier in in East Africa that I'd been working with prior to that with my African business, who were doing some product made from banana tree fiber that was for fashion textiles. And that was something that, was connected to that other business. Then reaching back out to them again and looking and exploring different things that could be done, and the opportunity with the hair extensions arose with them. And so I, partnered with them on working for on my own company with this, and also exploring some other opportunities with them and labs and so forth. And it just felt that there's this chance to have an opportunity to do something different in the market where more research is opening up. People are looking for more healthier options in their lifestyle altogether. What we're putting on our skin, what we're putting in our bodies. So it just seemed like a perfect fit. But now more and more research is coming out, which is validating, the challenges that we've all been facing and the reasoning why I'm doing this. So it's kind of all coming together at the same time.
Excellent. So you just made a link really between um, creating a new type of hair, which is causing you irritation, but you broaden out about and you talked about the social aspects of losing hair, and now you're looking at health generally for women who may be using it. Certainly interesting to list that reports and to look at some of the initial research that they did. So I think I think it's great to be able to look beyond um, what we have at the moment to explore safer options, which is, I think, what you're saying. So, what were the initial challenges um, in moving away from, the traditional braiding into your new type of brace materials?
Um, I don't think there is any challenges. I mean, it's a different process. It's a different supply chain. It's different. Yes, it is different pricing. Um, there, it's just building the product to make everything around it more sustainable as well. Because with the banana tree fiber, it's a resource that would have been just discarded because it's like a byproduct from an agricultural source. But it's something you can reuse. It's something you can put in your garden waste. It's compostable. It's a great alternative. The main things that I would want to develop further are the dyes that we use to make it. They're not. Well, what's not bad? What's good? What's bad? These words that we use. We want to make a dye which is more sustainable, more ethical, toxin free, natural dyes, all of that. But that all takes a lot more work. It takes more development. Takes funding as well. So we're looking for investors in that sense. But there's a lot that can be done with this now, and I think there's a great opportunities in products, and there's more people on the market doing this. So it's not, Africa has been the people who have started this, and I think now there are men, some other women as well as myself who are working with these African suppliers and building this product. And I think now that there's more of us out here, yes, it's great that we can work back with Africa, and I think that's a beautiful story. But it's also great that there's more of us because it means there's more interest, there's more demand, there's more desire for something that's healthier, and so we collectively, without realizing it, we can change that market from what is out there to giving women an alternative, healthy alternative.
Excellent. So, how does your product differ from and behave differently from the conventional synthetic? What's it doing?
Yeah, I mean that's one of the questions people do ask a lot, like how it feels and what they can do with it. So that product on the market is the plastic one. It's because it's a plastic, is more silkier. And I feel on the find this relates more to our hair texture. Some more. I was Imagine if your afro hair is blow dried straight. That's probably the best way to describe it. When that's blow dried straight, it has a texture that, yes, it's been straightened, but it's not silky like Caucasian hair. It's thicker strands. It's just straightened, but it's more coarser in that sense. But it doesn't feel. rough. It feels good. For me, it feels good. It's lighter. But it can perform the same. You can, if you want to wash it, yeah, between, because you can reuse it, you can wash it. And I've done videos to show how you can use your shampoo, your conditioner, and just wash the hair, dry it, and reuse it. And you can put your own oil on it if you want to make it more malleable for yourself, however you want it. So there are things that you can do to work with the hair yourself, which I think is a nice touch. But yeah, at the moment the formation is like the typical braiding hair, so straighter. We're looking at doing different textures, and that will be, a great way forward. But right now, it's great for braiding, single plaits, cane rows or cornrows.
Yeah, so I
Mm.
thought he was going to say something else. Excellent. So it's quite versatile. People can still use it in the same way, and of course, it's itch free because that was one of the first things I
Scalp friendly,
noticed you
yeah,
saying.
so scalp
So
friendly.
yes, more scalp friendly, and you're working on colouring, which is what you just said as well, because people all want different shades as well, won't they? So once you're able to do all of your testing to make sure you're happy that it's not um toxic in any way.
Yeah, I mean it's a work in progress. I mean the raw material is the best thing, and like I'm wearing the raw color. If you want to go blonde, you can go blonde. But
Wow.
I've got it in black. So that obviously is a dye, and the red is obviously a dye, and the brown is obviously a dye. So those are things, and you can do all colors if you want to have purple, pink, blue, that can be done, but then those are hair dyes. So that is something to just look further into. And that's the aim. It's a business. We're going to build it, grow it, develop it, and get it to the place where it's, that people won't even think about the plastic hair anymore. That we removed from their mind.
And that's a massive challenge. But then with keep repeating it all of the time and with marketing and explaining, because obviously people now they don't there's a lot more information about, so people don't just pick something up and buy it. They can research, they can look into it, can't they? And ask
Exactly.
those same questions what we're asking. Why should I buy this? So if it's going to be slightly dearer, because sometimes things are might be, is it slightly dearer? How does it
It is.
compare?
It's not as cheap as the plastic hair, but then that is plastic. So plastic is always cheaper. They're just the nature of plastic. Um, but then you do pay for plastic in the long term. Just think about it that way. When it's sitting on the planet for hundreds of thousands of years, then that is the price we pay. But it's not as expensive as getting human hair. And not everybody wants human hair. Not everybody wants to wear somebody else's hair, or some people have the spiritual connections with that, or whatever it may be, or just they just don't want it. I've tried that as well. It's not really completely my bag. I don't I, you know but it's a personal matter. But we are closer to, we are in comparison on the market of whatever braiding biodegradable braiding hair companies are doing, so quite similar pricing. For example, our 46-inch length, which is, I think, long down to your bottom, that kind of length. That one is 36, 38. A packet, depending if you're getting a subscription or you get it as a single item. And you can also buy them as bundles as well. So you're not like a 4 pack or a 2 pack like that as well, which kind of helps you with your purchasing. And most people do buy them in like packs of two, four, three, and depending on the styles they're doing. So it is, but when you think about, all right, I've paid 40 quid for this, 30 quid for that. We do a 22-inch and we do a 46-inch as they got longer lengths. But when you think about that, I'm going to reuse that maybe 3 times. So, you're saving yourself money by reusing it yourself.
And then how would you said you've got three uses, and how do they um get rid of waste? I mean, you said it's natural fibers. How do they just
You can
get
put in
rid?
your garden waste. You can bury it if you want to. You can put in your garden base waste bins, when they come and collect that. So that's a positive around that. Um, Yeah, so at least you know. I mean, with the other type, the plastic, you can only put that in the bin. You can't recycle those. With this one, you can recycle and then reuse again.
Brilliant. So how do you educate stylists to try and gradually get them to move away from the traditional?
I think
Mm,
that, yeah, it's something that you take with time, and many are hearing about it. There's, they know that it's existing. And it's depending on the person if they want. Some I've had, have tried it and they have to get used to it. It's different. It performs different for them. They're not used to it because it does feel different, and they take a little bit of time to get used to it. But then they say this one's okay. The hairdressers I use, they say this actually feels good. It's easy to use. And I remember there was a girl that I had that she used it. She was actually a white female braider, and she braided on black girls and white girls, and she was just like, "This is not good." She's saying it
mm,
was not good because it was not what she was used to. She
okay.
was used to the plastic hair, and I was like, "Yeah, but that's the good thing about it. It's different." And if you have your mindset, this is different. But if you
Mm,
saw me in the street, you wouldn't think, oh, that's not braiding hair. You wouldn't think twice. You just think, oh, she's got it in blonde and that's it. But you wouldn't think, oh, that hair looks different to any other hair you buy in the hair shops. So I think it's more that once people feel it and try it, then they can be hooked. You feel better for it because it feels better on your head. You're not itching it. You can
mm,
wear it. It feels lighter. Because I remember with having braids, sometimes at night you feel like it's just sitting on your head and it's pulling you down and your neck
feels heavy.
hurts and all of that stuff. So, I could have the long ones down. I can wrap and put the top of my head and it doesn't feel bad. With some of the other ones, it can feel quite weighty. This one
Yeah,
actually feels a bit lighter as well.
excellent. That would be great because you get some types of hair loss with like traction alopecia, when with gravity, if it is very, very heavy. So I
If it
can
is heavy,
see,
exactly.
yeah, so it's going to see benefits to that. So for the future, then, what is your biggest hope, do you think, for the future of the braiding hair industry? Do you think it'll
My
be famous?
biggest Yeah, I believe that this is changing the market. That having a different option is changing the market. People are like, that's great. Ultimately, yes, if the price can be even more affordable for people, that is going to be the game changer. But it is changing the market, and my hope is that completely replaces it. Just the same way that people are choosing organic, the same way that people are just choosing to just live better, like maybe switching to hybrid or electric over. I mean, that's all debatable to be fair, but that people will just switch over and won't never look back. That this will be an active decision that Black women specifically will choose.
Mm.
That's
So
my
do you
that's my
think
hope.
that's your hope for the future? And if you could share one piece of advice with someone who has struggled with synthetic to plastic hair and is considering the alternative, what would you say to them?
My advice would be My advice would be, yes, obviously, yeah, get rid of that. But my advice would be think about it in the terms of this, if you had an opportunity to reconnect with your heritage, as in, reconnect with Africa, which is where we all come from as human beings anyway, to be able to give back to that community, to purchase a black owned from black owned business, knowing that your purchasing choice is positively impacting not just yourself, because you're going to get so much positive benefit from it, but from a business owner, from a supply chain, and from a planet. Then if you can think about it from that perspective, then I think you're going to choose the right decision. You're going to choose the right choice of hair. And because that's why I'm saying with our company, the KBO company, there's three elements that we focus on, three pillars. One being around your hair health, one being all around being powered by plants, and then the other one being all around the culture. So, we focus on the product being biodegradable, being earth friendly. We focus on it being scalp friendly and positive for your body. And we focus on it being, connecting you to your culture and heritage, being African made and by a Black British of Jamaican heritage business owner. So those are three elements I think will connect with everybody who purchases.
Really interesting. Thank you for sharing all of that. In terms of how can we get to find out more for the listeners if they wanted to know where to connect with you, where to find you, where to read about your business? How can we, what should we leave you to?
Awesome. Yeah, so initially the place would be to go straight to our web shop, the Cane Row Company. That's Cane as in CANEROW company.com/shop. So you can go and purchase there. And we're on all socials under the Cane Row Company. So TikTok, Facebook, Insta, LinkedIn, all of them under the Cane Row Company. So definitely put a message in our DMs, say hello, get back to you, and hopefully you'll be getting his hair through a letterbox near you as soon as
That's
possible.
oh, that's amazing. That's fantastic. Look, good luck with your work. I think it's very interesting. I think this, if we listen to, your backstory, what has driven you to where you are today, and you said you're turning everything to purpose. And as I said earlier before, it's not just to help you, which you found an initial need, but you're opening up to other women who may have had the same, struggles as you in terms of their hair and irritability, and certainly in light of the recent research as well. So I think you're doing really well. I'm really pleased to have met you, and thanks so much for spending some time talking and explaining everything to me today. I think it's a really interesting podcast.
Thank you so much. Lovely
So
to have
much
you come. Thank you, Lorna.
for being in touch. Thank you so much. Okay, goodbye.